Hey all of you, hope you guys are great. So in the last video we have done some important setups in our project. We have imported all the components, all the pages, all the CSS file, all the JavaScript. If you haven't watched the last video, so make sure to follow that. In this video we're going to start working on our index page. So here we are in the index.js page. So the very first thing we have to do that we have to import a couple of things from React. So we have to import the use state and use effect. So these are the imports we are doing. We have to do the internal import at builds. So we have to import let's come here. We have to import all the components which we already have. So we'll import the header, banner, live. We'll import the service component. We'll import the product, and we'll import the top seller. We'll import the collections, footer, and the copyright. And all of these components are coming from, so we have this components, and all of this are coming from the components, page component slash component, and that looks good. This is the entire component we have imported. If we come back to the page components, inside that you will have this component, inside that we'll have all of this component. So this looks good. Simply copy this one and you can simply paste here. So we have all of this component. Looks fine. We'll come here. We'll have to import the other things. So we come here, we're going to see the form, and this time we have to import the context. So if we come back in the context, we have this use context. So if you come back in the context, here we have, and that's one we are importing here. So we have our context is ready, and we have to import. So we'll bring it down, and we have to import the couple of things. So we have to import the utils page, because here we have to calculate the top sellers, top users who have listed their properties. So if you come back to the utils, let me close all of this. Inside the utils you will have all of this function, and this is the one we are importing. Get top creators. Simply grab that one, and that we have to pass the entire array, and it will return us the top creator and their balance. So that looks good. All it does, it will return the owner and the total amount they have listed, and we have to import that one. So that looks good. These are the internals import we have, and now we have to come here and we have to define couple of state variables. So the first one we'll take is the, let's say, use state, and this will call the is loading. So we have to capture the loading state. So when the load data will come from our context, it will take a little bit time. So we have to display our loader. So we'll say initially false, then we have to take the entire properties. So we'll have the property, it will be an array. Then we'll come here, and here we have to build the functions, and here we have to import all the data from our context. We'll say use state context, and in that we have to import all of the functions. So we're going to import the address, we'll import the contract, we'll import the get property data function, and these are the three imports we are doing from our context. And we'll come here, we're going to get the function. So we'll write the function get data, and we'll say const fetch property, the same function we have built in the last video, the same function we are building to fetching the data from our context. So we'll say fetch property async, and first thing we have to set the loading state to true, because we have to display our loader. Then we have to say const data, and we'll say await get properties data, and once we have the data, we have to simply set the data into our property state variable, and then we have to simply turn off the loading state. So this is the fetch function we have, and now we have to simply call the function at the time of page reload. So we'll use this use effect, and inside that we have to simply do a couple of things. So we have to check for if contract exists, then we have to call the function, and if there is a change in the address and in the contract, then we have to call the functions. So that will give us the data. If I console log out the property, you will find that we'll have all the properties. So simply console log out the properties, and this is the imports we have done. This is the internal imports, and this is the state and the top creator import, and these are the state variable we have taken, and this is the function we have written for retrieving the data from the context. So if I come back in the browser, if I do the inspect element, to do the console, and if you find that here we have the data in well formatted, and if you open this, in that we will have all of these 4 properties we have listed. Okay, it's coming from 38, and that's what we have here, 38. So now we have to write the data function. So we'll say divide category, because generally what will happen here is that we're going to have multiple category in our project. So one property will have housing, rental, country, it will have official. So we're going to divide the data, because the data we are getting right now, it has all the property, and now we have to write a small script which can filter the data, and it will store into an array. So let me show you what I mean by that. So come here, and we'll take a variable called housing. Actually, we'll take a lot of variable. So we'll say housing, and in this we're going to keep all the property related to the housing category. We'll define one more, is going to be a rental. We'll take another one, this will become the farmhouse, and we have to take another one, this will be called office. So we have this 4, and now we have to take one more, is called commercial, because we are providing close to 6, and this one is going to be the country. So we're going to have 6 different categories which user can list their property in. So once we have all of this variable, now we have to simply store the category in each one of these variable as per their category. Okay, so we'll build a function. We'll say if the loading is true, then we will take the properties, and we have to loop over it. So we'll say element I, and in that we're going to say that if element dot category is equal to the specific category, so we'll say the category would be country. If the properties belong to the country category, then we have to push that particular property into the country array. We'll simply push that element into that, and that's the same thing we have to do for all the properties. So let me do it very quickly. So we'll say element dot category is equal to the commercial, then we have to simply push that to a commercial, push to commercial. Once we're done with the commercial, now we have to work on the other one. So if I come back to the browser and reload it, and let me do the console log, let me show you the category. So here you can see, here we have 4 properties, and each property will have this category, and on the base of this we are filtering the property. So right now you can see we have passed the random data, but we're going to modify all of these data, and we're going to assign the right category. So that looks fine. Each property will have this one, and we are simply looping over it. Now come here, let's check for the third condition. If else element dot category is equal to the office, then we have to push that into an office array, push an element. Else if element dot category is equal to the farmhouse, then we have to simply push that to the farmhouse element. After that we have to simply say else if element dot category equal to the rental, then we have to push that into a rental dot push element. So we have all of this, and the final one we have is the element dot category is going to be the housing, and we have to push that into a housing array. So here we are filtering all of the data, and we are storing into the respective arrays, and here we have to change is commercial, not country twice, and now looks fine. So we'll have the data, and it's going to store into that. So now we'll come here, we'll write a function for get creators and amount. So we have already built the functionality. We'll say creators, and we have to simply call the function, and we have to pass the array properties. It will automatically filter all the data, and it will give us the seller and their total worth of property listing. Okay, all of this logic we have built, honor and total worth of property listing, it will return, and that's what we are getting here. So let me come here. Now what I will do, I'll simply come here, let me console log, and let me show you that what data we are getting in return. So we'll do console log dot creator, save it, come back to the browser, and here you will find, so just a moment, it's taking a little bit time, and here you can see we have all the properties and we have this too. That's the creator. So this is the property and this is the creator, and we have only one creator right now, and you can see the address and the amount, and we have this 00 because we have a bug in our contract which we will fix. So things looks good, and this is the bug we have, which you don't need to worry about it. We're gonna fix that very easily. So that's the setup for the creator. Let me comment this, and now we have to work on the entire component. So we have the functionality, we have the data, now we have to feed the data. So we'll come here and we will take a div, and we have to assign a class. So all of these classes is coming from the style component. Okay, so we are simply importing the classes. So this is the class we have to use, and we'll say template dash color dash 1, and we'll say NFT body, and this will become the connect. So this is the main classes for our component, and inside that we're going to simply import all the components. So if I come here, if I simply minimize this one, and if I go back here, so let me minimize all of this, and this is the CSS. Here we are getting all of this thing we have imported. Inside the assets we have all of these CSS files. We have this CSS, the custom ones which we have written, so you can easily able to have a look. Things are looking fine. Close this one, and now we can start working on the component sections. So what we have done, we have all done all the setups, and now we have to simply import the components. So the very first component we have to import is the header, and then we have to import the banner, then we have to import the live, and we have to send the props. So inside that we're going to send the entire properties. After that we have to come here and we have to send the product component, and in that we have can simply pass the property, the entire array. And we can come here we'll attach the services component, and we'll come here, and here we have to attach the top seller, and in that we're going to send the top sellers. We'll type S, and creator, let's make it S, because obviously it's a creator, not creator, only one creator. Okay, let's type and let's pass here creators, and at the end we have to simply pass the last two components, which is the collection, and that we have to send the data. So we'll have to send the length of that particular category. So housing, we'll say housing, we'll give this question marks because it will the data will take time in loading, so we have to prevent any kind of error, and we have to get the length of the housing array. And the same thing we have to do for all the categories. So rental dot length, then we have the farmhouse rental, farmhouse length, and the last one is going to be the office. You can take all the different categories, it's totally up to you. Okay, so for the time being I will just go with this 4-1, and I leave it other on you guys. Okay, now we have to import the footer components, and we have to import the copyright components, and this looks fine. So we have all of the component, and all of the data is looking absolutely incredible, and you can see the entire UI is displaying, and it's looking absolutely beautiful. All of the component, all the animations, tabs are absolutely working fine. So all of this data is a dummy data. We're going to feed our own data. It looks absolutely fine. So all the components, all the data is absolutely working fine, and we can easily able to redirect, but these pages are not exist, so we have to do a lot of modification. So all the navigations are look fine, animations are okay, and now we have to feed the actual data. So we're going to start working on the header component first. So let's come back to the header component, and this is the entire JSX we have written for the header components. So let's come up here. Now what I will do is I have to do a couple of things. So here we have this link tag, and actually I don't want to add the link tag, because whenever someone will click on this links, the menus, I want them to reload the browser, because our animations are dependent on the reload. Okay, if you don't reload the browser, the animation will not work. So we're going to reload the browser whenever they will switch from one page to another. So for that, let me remove this one. So I'll simply select all of that. all of the link tags, and I'm going to replace with the normal anchor tag. So let's see how many we'll have it. Okay, so we have so many. So I will simply come here. No, not like that. Let me replace it a and replace all. So we have successfully replaced, and we have to remove this one. So now the reload will work fine. And what we have to do is, here we can come, and here we have to import our context. So we'll say internal import, and once we have the internal import, we have to simply import the context. So we'll say it's coming from dash dash, we'll go up and we'll come and import the context, and we have to import our context, use state context, and then we have to receive all of the data. So we'll say contract data, and we'll take a variable inside that we're going to import it. So it's coming from the use state context. So we need a couple of things. We need the address, we have this disconnect, and we need the connect, and we need the use balance. And you might be thinking that we don't have these functions like disconnect, addresses, connect, and use balance. So we have addresses, we have connect, but we don't have the disconnect and the use balance, and that's what we have to create in our context. So you can see it looks pretty fine. So what I will do now, for the time being, what I will do is, we'll come here, we'll go back to the context, and here we're going to modify this entire context file a bit. Now here we are in the context, and here we have to do the modification in our context, the function we have built, because some of the functions are not 100% optimized, very lengthy, and that can create some critical bug into our system. So for that, we're going to optimize this entire function once again in the context file. So that's why I made the tutorial in this way, because I can show you the normal way and you can show you the optimized way of doing that. So here we are into the context, and now we're going to simply do that. So here we have this use effect, and we have to import the one more use state. So these are the imports we are doing, and here you can see that we have done all of this import from the ThirdWeb, but we're going to import couple of more hooks. So we'll call this, let's say, new hook, and we'll have this new hook, and the first hook we want to import is this use called disconnect, and this will allow us to disconnect with the application, from the application. If you click on the button, you can disconnect from the MetaMask. Then we can take this use connection status, so this will give you the status of your application, of the user, and then we'll take this use signer, because we have to display the balance of the user. So we'll have this new hooks, and this one is looking fine, we don't do any changes here, and this is the entire context we have here. Okay, so this looks pretty fine. Now here we are, and here we have to take couple of new variables because we have new hooks. So I will simply remove this demo, and I will remove from here as well real estate. So now we have clean environment, and now we're going to simply work on it. So we have these two hooks and their values. We'll come here, we'll call this front end, and here we have to define the hook. So we'll say const disconnect, and it's coming from the use disconnect. Now we have to take the other one, which is the connection status, and this coming from connection status. So we have this one, this is the two hooks we have, and now we have to take the another one, well, signer, and it's coming from use signer. Now we'll come here, and here we have to define the state variable, and we'll say use state, and the value we have to define is the, let's say, user balance, because in that we have to keep the balance of the user, and initially it will be empty. Then we'll take another variable, this will call the is loading. This will keep the track of loading state of each function. Initially it will be false. So here we are. Now what we have to do is, here we are getting this error message, so we have to simply remove this loading because we are repeating this loading variable twice, and now it looks fine. So this is for listing property. We don't need to do any changes in here because this function is also working fine. You can optimize this one, but I'll try to keep it like it. so you guys can refer back the methods which you will have to call the data. Okay, so I'll keep it like it. So this is the listing one, and here we have the update properties. So I'm going to remove all those variable which is not necessary and which we're not going to use it. So what I can do is, I don't need this loading state because we're going to manage this loading state in the page. So we'll simply remove that one, and here we have the update function. So it looks pretty clean, and this is the update property function. We are receiving all of this data from the users, and then we are simply passing into the argument in the contract functions, and that's what we are simply consoling. So this one is also fine, we don't do any changes in here. Here we have the update pricing, and we have to simply remove this one. This looks fine, and this one is also looking good. Update pricing. Now we're going to simply do one thing. We're going to open this one, and here we have the data from a product ID and the price. That's the two information we are taking, and we're not going to use this method to update the pricing. So simply remove that. We're going to take the another method. So we'll say const data, and we're going to simply call this await. We're going to use the update price, and in that we have to simply pass the data object. So we have to pass the argument. In that argument we have to pass the simply the product, so the address of the user, and we have to pass the product ID, and we have to pass the price. So the price, we're going to simply pass the converted price in terms of way. So we use ether.utils.parse ether, and that we have to simply pass the price. Okay, so here we have to make it capital T, and here we have to make it capital D. So this is the entire function. So we have passed all the argument, and that's pretty good. Okay, so this is update price function. Now let's come down and let's work on the other functions. So we're done with that. Now we have to work on the buy property. So we have to remove this extra variables, and that looks fine, and open this one. And in this we have to do a little bit modification, because we're not going to use this hook method to call the contract. So first we're going to call this buying, and here we're going to take the product ID. So we'll say product ID, and we have to take the amount, and we have to replace this to buying. So that looks fine. Now what we're going to do is, now we're going to simply take all of this. So what I can do is, let's pass the argument. So let's come here, and we're going to pass the values. So the value, we have to convert it into a way, and then we have to pass the amount. So we'll say pass ether, we have to pass the amount, and that looks fine. So in this way we can easily able to buy the property. Simply copy and paste here. So that's the buying function we have. That looks pretty fine. So we are getting the data, then we are reconstructing, then we are passing the argument, and then we are passing the value. So that looks fine. So this is the buying function we have here. Close this one, and that's okay. Now come back to the other one. So add review, we have to remove this extra variable. So let's clean, and we can take the document. So open this one, and here we are taking all of this data, product ID, rating, and comment, and make it capital D. So that looks good. Once we have the rating, when we have the comment, and we are deconstructing that, then we are passing that into an argument, and that's okay. That's the argument we are, and this looks also fine. So we are done with this entire function. There is no changes we need to do into this. Now we have this like, remove this one, open this one, and here we are deconstructing the product ID and the review index, make it capital D, and we don't need to do anything in here. So these are fine. We need to pass the argument, and that looks pretty awesome to me. So close this one. Now we are done with this like function. Now let's come back to the get properties, and this one is also working fine. We have already done all the changes, but the one thing we're going to do into this is that we're going to fetch the balance of the user. Okay, so that's what we're going to do into this particular function, because this function is going to be called every single time someone will open the application. So it's better to call the function. What we can do is, let's give this comment. So this section is for getting the data, get all market properties, and here we're going to fetch the balance. So the thing we have to do is, we'll call this get user balance, and we can come here. Here we're going to call the function. So we'll take a variable const balance, and we have a weight, and we have a signer, and on that we're going to simply call this method get balance. So on signer is an object, on that we have all the methods, and the methods we are using, it's get balance. So it will give us the balance of the user in terms of big number, and we have to convert that number. So the problem we will have here is, we'll take a variable. Let me show you what I mean by that. So we'll call user balance, and here we have to build a logic. So first thing, we have to simply take this address. So if the user is connected, only then we want to get his balance and display in the front end. If user is not connected, then we can't able to get the balance, because the signer will have the get functions, and it will automatically assign the address of the user. So if there is an address, then we want to get the balance, otherwise we don't. So we'll say ether dot utils dot form ethers, and in that we have to simply pass the balance, and we have to simply convert into a string. Okay, if address exists, then we want to get the balance, otherwise we will do empty string. So in this way, we'll have a dynamic balance based on the condition. So once we have the balance, we have to simply update that into a state variable, and we'll pass the user balance. Hope you guys have understood that why we have done this. Okay, because when the user will open the application at the very first time, he may not like to connect his wallet, and we don't want to run this function when he open the application, because if he don't connect that, he will get an error and our application will crash. So we have to be little productive here. That looks fine. So this is the balance we are setting up here, and we can do one thing. So all of these things are looking fine. So we have this pricing, product ID, and everything is we are comparing here. So review, property, image, things are looking fine. And here we are parsing the entire property. So that's the only thing we have to do in get all properties, and here we have the highest rated. So we don't need the loading state, simply remove this one, and now we have this clean one. So this is the number of the product is very hot, that will it display. And here we have the get product review. If you open that one, and here we have to remove this variable, and here we have this one. And now what we can do is, let's remove that one, and we have to use the other method for calling the functions. So we'll say get product review, we'll say await, and we have to call the contract, and then contract, and we have to call, and we have to pass the name of the function. So this is the function get, and welcome here, and this is review. This is the exact name we have to give, because this is what we have in the function, and here we have to make it async. So it will give us, this is the name of the product review, and at the end we have to simply dispatch the data, and here we have to pass the product ID, so we can easily able to identify that which product review we want to get. So that's the very simple thing. Okay, so once we have that one, once we have the data, we have to simply format the data, because the data will get in unformatted form, so we have to format that. So we'll say parse review, and we'll simply follow the same old logic. We're going to map over it, loop over it, and we have to construct the entire data. So review, and we have to make it an object return. So here we have to say reviewer, so the one who's given the review. So we'll take his address, so reviewer, and then we're going to take the likes, that how many likes that particular review has. After that, we have to convert into a number. Then we have to take the comments, so we'll take review rating, and after that we have to take the rating. Then we'll say review dot rating, and here we have to say comment. So these are the 4 data we are taking, and we can come up here and we'll say the product ID, because that's also we need, because someone can like that comment. So we'll have the product ID, and we have to convert it into a number, yes. So that looks fine. So these are the data we are simply taking. I hope these things are making sense to all of you guys, and we can simply return this data from here at the end. We'll say pass review, and that looks fine. So hope you guys have understood that what we have done. We have taken the simplest way to call the functions and simply get the data in a well formatted. So we are done with this. Now we have to come back to the get properties, open this one, and here we have to do the same thing. So what we will do is we're going to simply copy this function name and remove this entire code. Now we're going to follow the same structure which we have followed above. So first thing, we have to take the product ID. Okay, let's say product ID, and we have to convert that into a number, because this ID will come in form of string, so we have to multiply with 1, so it will be number. And then we have to simply build the logic. So we'll take a variable called property item, and we'll call the await contract call, and we have to pass the name of the function. It will be async, and we have to pass the ID, the product ID. So this will give us the data of that particular product property, and then we have to simply follow the same logic. We have to pass the data. So we'll say property, and we have to simply construct it. So we'll say that property item, and we'll say property item is going to be on the 0 index. Okay, so I hope you guys can understand. So when you will console log out this data, it will come in the form of indexing, and that's how we are returning the data in the smart contract. So we can easily able to access all of this data based on the index, and that's what we are doing. So we have the product ID. After the product ID, we have to take the owner of the property. So we'll have the property item, and this is available in the index 1. Then we'll take the title, and we'll say property item, and it's available in index 3. After that, we have to take the category property item, and this will we have on index 4. After that, we have to take the description, and property item, this is available on 7. After the description, we have to get the price. We have to convert the price, so we ether utils and format ether, and in that we have to simply pass the price. So it is available in index 2, and we have to convert into a string. So we have the price. Now after that, we have to take the address. So property item will have it 6. So, and the last one is going to be the image. Property item, and the image is available on index 5. So you can see how beautifully we have formatted the data in a proper order, so we can easily able to render in our front-end UI component. And here we're going to simply return the entire property. So I hope this and I think makes sense to all of you guys, that this is exact modification you have to do here. And here we have already called this function, and that looks fine. Simply close this one. So we are done with this. Now let's talk about the get property. I think we are done with that. Now we'll come here and get user properties, and we have to find the user property. Simply copy that function name, and then we have to follow the same logic here. So here we'll take a variable called properties, and we'll call this await. Here we have to type a async function, then we'll say contract.call, and we have to name the function, and then we have to pass the address of the user. So in case we want to have our properties. Now we have to simply, once we have the properties, and this properties will come in form of array. So we have to follow the same old logic, parse properties, and we have to loop it, and we have to rearrange the data the way we have done in our get all properties. So we'll say properties, and it will be index, and let's rearrange the data. Rearrange this data. Now simply come here, remove this one. We'll have this property, and we'll say honor property dot honor. Then we'll take the title. We'll say property dot property title. After that, we'll take the descriptions, property dot description. After that, we'll take the category, property dot category. After that, we'll take the price, and we have to convert the price into ether utils format ethers, and we have to pass the price, property price, and we have to convert that into a string. That looks fine. After that, we have to take this property ID, and we have to take the property dot property ID, and we have to convert that into a number. So to number function. So we have all of this data. After that, we can come here, and we can retrieve the review information as well. So we'll take the reviewers, and we'll have the data in here, property reviewers, and we have to get the review as well. Review property dot reviews, and then we have to take the image. So we'll say property dot image, and at the end we have to take the address of the property. So we'll say property dot property address. So this is the entire data for user properties, and that's what we have to return it from here. So we have formatted the entire data, and hope you guys can understand that what we have done and how we are arranging the entire data. So that's the function we are done with. Now get user reviews, this is the one we're going to work on. So what I will do here, we're done with this. Now I'll come to the 12 one, and here we have the get user reviews. Simply come here and remove this one, and that looks fine. So that's the only thing we have to do here. Close this one. So we are done with this function. Now we have to work on the total property function. So here you can see that we have to simply remove this one, and we'll take this variable called total property await, and we have to say contract dot call, and we have to pass the function name, and this will return the number of property we have. And once we have that property, we have to simply send that property. So remove this one, and that's it. That's the only thing we have to do here. So we are getting the property index number, and that's what we are returning from this function. Do the same thing for the total reviews. So what we can do is simply open up these functions, and it's going to be async. We have to copy the function name and remove this entire one. Then we'll take a variable called total property, or review you can call it, await, and we also contract dot call, and we have to pass the function name, and it returns the number of reviews. And simply grab that one, and we're going to simply replace it here, and we have to convert it into a number because it will be in big form. And that's the same thing we have to do on other function, the total property. So come up here, close this one, and come here, and here we have to do the same. So to number. So these are the entire modification we have done in the contract. So things are looking fine, and we don't need to do any changes in here in the event section. And this is the console log, and this is all the function we are exporting from our context. Address, connect, contract, everything's looking fine. So select this all, and let me type one more type so you guys can understand. So we are exporting address, then we have contract, then we have connect. After connect, we have this particular function, it's called create property function. After that, we'll have this update property function. After that, we'll have this update price function. After that, we'll have the buy property function. So these are the all function related to the property. So it looks fine to me. Now come here, let me get this comment for the review section, and here we'll say add review function, we'll say like review function, we'll say get property review functions, and we'll have the get property functions, and this is the get user property function, and this is the property function. Okay, I imported this right, so yes, I imported this right, so I can simply remove that one, not a big deal. Select this, remove it. So we have this one. Now we have to get the get user review functions, then we have the total one, and then we have the total review. After that, we'll get the property data, the highest one, and after that we're going to pass this comment data, and in that we'll have couple of functions. So like get property, all the properties data, we'll take the user balance, and we'll also take the disconnect. So that's the entire export we are doing from our context. Okay, so I believe that entire thing makes sense to all of you guys, that whatever modification we have done here, it's very important to make things work. Okay, and here we can see that we don't need this loading variable. We can remove this one, and we can also remove this one. If you want, you can utilize it because it will have the status whether the user is connected or not. Okay, so you can utilize that, but I'm not going to use it. So that looks fine. All of these things are looking really great, and that's working fine. Now we're going to start working on it in our header component. So whatever we have done so far, that's just a setup. We have done the modification in our context file, and we are build all the functions, all the balance, the disconnects, everything's working fine. Now we can start working on our header component. So these are the imports we have done here. So user balance, disconnect, and now we need this two as well, address and contract and connect 3, and paste here. So we'll have all of these 3 data which is coming from the context. Now what we can do, simply close this one and come here in the index file, and now we're going to start working on the header component. Okay, so this looks pretty fine. Now scroll all the way down here, and what we can do, let me bring this one, and everything is working fine. If you reload the browser, you can see things are looking fine. All the animations are working absolutely great. So let's scroll down and let's find the connect wallet. Okay, here is it is wallet connect. So we're going to build a dynamic block, and we're going to display the menu. Okay, so let's give this command connect wallet, and that looks fine. So we'll say that, come here, we'll say if there is address exists. If there is no address, then we have to say empty, otherwise we have to display this dynamic component. Simply come here and cut and paste here, and here we have to do the changes. So we're going to remove this one, so it will be a button tag, and here we have to remove this particular href, and we have to remove the id. We add a on-click function, and we have to simply pass the functions connect. Okay, so if there is no address, then we have to render this particular component wallet connect. If we have the address, then we want to simply hide this. So that's the thing we are doing here. So if I save it, it will also work fine. So let's come here, and here we'll say end connect wallet, comment this one. So that looks pretty fine. We are done with this, and this is the notification we have. You can see this is the notification we have, and here we are connected actually in the application. That's why you can see the button is not displaying. If I open the MetaMask, you can see we are connected. If I logged out, reload you can see I logged out, and there is a button called wallet connect. If I reload the browser, you can see we have the button. If I click, and I can simply open MetaMask, and I can pass my credential, and I can log into the application. The button is not there. So this logic is also working fine. So this one is good. Now what we can do here, come here, we'll take another dynamic block, and this will say the same logic we'll check from here. If so, like this is the entire big one, so we'll remove this entire class. Okay, remove the entire class, close this one div, bring this one. We'll say if address is not there. So okay, I'm getting this error message, so simply minimize this one, cut this one, and paste here. So if we have the address, then we want to display this, otherwise we don't want to display this. Okay, all of these links are looking fine. So if we have the address, then we want to display this component, otherwise we don't want to display that. So look good to me, look good. Just a moment, things are looking good. So let's have a look. And here we have to change. Here we're going to display the actual balance of the user. We have to slice it down. So let's say I want to take only, let's say 6 digit, and I have the balance. Now this is the second one. We have 2 different balances. Remove this one, and okay, and these are the looks good, no more issues we have in it. And here we have this sign out. We can say disconnect, looks good. Come here, and we have to type disconnect, and we can simply do one thing. We can remove this href, we can simply add this hash, and we have to attach on click function, and we have the function already with us. So we have to simply call the disconnect function, and this will disconnect the wallet. So let's type disconnect, and that looks good. So it looks absolutely amazing. And now we can come up here, And what else we need to highlight? So if we come here, you can see here we are getting the avatar of the user because the user is connected, and we can easily able to fetch the balance. So his balance is 0.3.25, and we have this one more balance. I'm going to remove this one because we can have one, and we have to attach the address as well. So let's find the user. Okay, here we have to display the user address, well address, and we're not going to display the entire address. We have to slice it down to 15 characters. So we have the user wallet address, and now we can scroll down and we have to simply remove the balance. So this is the first one, the user balance, and we have one more balance here, this one. So this is the entire one. So let's come here, this ending here, and we have this content. Remove this entire div, save it. Okay, we have to remove the image as well. So this is the one we have to remove the entire one and save it. And now we can find it looks good. Now we have to click on this disconnect, and you can see we can disconnect. It's working fine. And we have to remove this light and dark mode because I don't want to display that as well. So let's find out where it is. So this is the div setting options we have, and what I can do is, and this is the div we have. Simply close this one and delete this entire div. Delete that one and save it. You can see this is the one we want to delete it. Save it, and it's gone. Now it's looking perfect. We have the notification and we have this disconnects. So our entire navigation header section is all working absolutely fine. Okay, so this one is working fine, and I think we don't need to do any changes in here. So these are the pages we have. All the pages are looking fine, and this is the mobile section, and this is the desktop sections. So if I scroll up here, if I close this one, and close this one, and close, go all the way up and close this one. So we have this two section header, and this is for the mobile device. So you can easily able to do the changes in the mobile device. So just do it from your end. So we are done with this. If you do the inspect element, you can see that's how it's going to look like in the mobile device. And I want you to do the changes in the mobile device. Attach the function called connect and disconnect, and here we are redirected to the next page. So we have to change this behavior. So a lot of changes we have to do. So we are done with this entire header component. You can see every single thing is looking fine. I would suggest you don't try to experiment from your end. Just build the entire project. After that, you can simply do the experiment, and you can include the functionality which you want to add as per your choice, as per your business plan. Okay, but for the tutorial sakes, just follow the way I'm doing. So we are done with this. This is looking absolutely fine, and now we're going to start working on the other components, the banner components. So that's the only thing I want to talk about in this video. In the next video, we're going to start working on the banner components. So let's move to that.